When Shohei Ohtani is batting, he has about a 7.5% chance of hitting a home run compared to the MLB batter average of around 2.5%. Then, when Ohtani is pitching, he manages about 11.4 strikeouts per 9 innings against an MLB average of 8.5. In both cases, Ohtani is well above the average. Very few players have the ability to both bat and pitch, but to do them both so well is insane. In saying that though, are these numbers alone enough to back up Ohtani as one of baseball's greatest players ever? To answer this question, we will work through each of our 5 athlete categories to ultimately score Ohtani out of 10 and see where he lands on the ATHLT scoreboard. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so we can keep scoring athletes. Okay, so let's dive deeper into Ohtani's batting capabilities. I mentioned his home run hit rate earlier. Well, here is how it compares to some other baseball greats. We already knew Shohei is better than average, but looking at these numbers, he's looking to be one of the best home run hitters of all time, beating out known batting specialists like Barry and Judge. Now, hitting home runs is impressive, but it's not the only definition of a good hitter. We also looked at OPS numbers, which measures a hitter's overall offensive value by combining how often a player gets on base with how much power they have, with the higher OPS indicating a more productive hitter. Ohtani has an OPS number of 0.95, which is nearly 30% higher than the league average and well into elite hitter territory. Now, Ohtani is not the best here, with Ruth and Bonds being in a different statistical universe, where they are effectively the Mount Everest of OPS. But what Ohtani is doing today in an era of higher velocity and more strikeouts makes this level of efficiency remarkable. And just a reminder, remember that Shohei's doing this while pitching every 5th day for most of his career. Okay, so speaking of pitching, let's jump back to his K9 numbers and also look at his walks and hits per innings pitch, or WHIP number. The WHIP number is a metric that captures how many base runners a pitcher allows per innings, so the lower the WHIP number the better. It's really just a proxy for control and effectiveness. As a pitcher, Ohtani strikes out around 11.4 batters every 9 innings. That puts him up with the best in the game. On top of that, his estimated WHIP of 1.15 suggests he doesn't allow many base runners through, which is showing his pitching control. Comparing him to someone like Justin Verlander, who is a long career workhorse, whose peak season hit 12.2 K9, and even across a 20-year career he maintained 9 to 10 K9 in many seasons, with a low WHIP of 1.1. This is peak pitching statistics. So Ohtani is not the best, but man is he close. And again, it's one thing to post a 11 K9 when you're sacrificing your bat. It's totally different when you're swinging a bat in half your games. The dual role load makes this metric even more impressive. Okay, so let's get a score here. In many respects, this was easy. Ohtani is mad. He falls short of being the best batter and best pitcher, but at the same time, he is almost the best we have ever seen in both. Very few baseball players show this level of aptitude in their specialization, let alone across multiple specializations. This truly is a once-in-a-generational show we are witnessing right now. He scores a 10 here. Baseball is a tougher sport than it looks. The sport demands a combination of explosive movements and sustained effort, including bursts of speed, agility, balance, and core strength. There are a lot of numbers to look at here, but we'll compare 2 primary physical capability metrics: his power, by looking at his hitting power and pitching speed, and then we'll look at his running speed. When Ohtani hits the ball, it exits on average at about 94.9 miles per hour. That's well above the league average of about 88 miles per hour. There are a few other players here that surpass him though, so he still has a way to go here. When we expand on this and look at hard hit percentages next, where a high percentage means that a player is consistently generating power and it's not just one-off hits, Ohtani here is one of the best ever, with only a handful of players like Aaron Judge or Giancarlo touching these numbers. Then with pitching, he comes in with an average fastball velocity of around 97 miles per hour. When we compare that to pure pitchers, Gerrit Cole, for example, is throwing in at 97 miles as well, and Justin Verlander was cracking the triple digits in his prime. So in short, I think it's quite clear, Ohtani is strong. When it comes to running speed, Ohtani averages about 28 feet per second, which is not generally considered elite, nor is it considered particularly great either. He's more above average here. Ohtani definitely checks the box for top-tier power, though he trails slightly behind the absolute elite in some areas. His running speed isn't quite as explosive as others, but what really stands out is the combined toll of hitting and pitching, and his ability to handle that workload is a major testament to his stamina and durability. At the end of the day, Ohtani is outstanding in this category, with only marginal room for improvement. For toughness, he scores a solid 8.5. One of the best ways to measure an athlete's headspace is to assess their performance under pressure. In MLB, some of the highest pressure games a player will play are the postseason playoff matches. Ohtani's postseason record has had ups and downs. In regular season games, Ohtani has a batting average of over 0.3. This means he gets a hit approximately 30% of the time he is out to bat. This number is well in line with what you'd expect from a high-performing hitter who is significantly above the league average. In postseason matches though, he drops to a 0.2 average. This is generally considered an acceptable but not a good batting average, especially when compared to some others here. So when we try to look at his postseason pitching stats, the data gets a bit thin. He's had very few playoff outings as a pitcher, which means the sample size is small. But from what data we do have, when looking at his K9 and whip, he does get worse under pressure, but not by much, still maintaining an elite pitching performance here. Despite Ohtani having some inconsistencies in playoff games, he has also had some of the best games we have ever seen in the postseason. For instance, in the 2025 NLCS Game 4, he hit 3 home runs and struck out 10 batters as a pitcher in the same game. That single performance proves Ohtani has the potential to be elite under the highest pressure. But when you zoom out to the broader postseason sample, the results are more uneven, with flashes of brilliance mixed with inconsistency, and at times, others have simply outperformed him. In saying that though, we are focused a lot on his negatives, and at the end of the day, he's still a gun in regular season, and that is definitely worth a lot. So for Headspace, he earns an 8 out of 10. Ohtani debuted in the MLB in 2018, so as of 2025, he has 8 seasons of play. We looked at his wins above replacement number, or WAR number, which is a stat that rolls offensive, defensive, and base running contributions into one number. And to put it into perspective, a WAR between 5 and 7 is all-star territory, and 8 or more, that's MVP level. Shohei started off with a WAR of 2.7 in his rookie season, which is solid for a debut year. Fast forward to 2024 and he posts a 9.2 WAR, even without pitching, and in 2025 he's sitting at around 7, currently ranked 3rd in the entire MLB. That kind of output tells us 2 things. First, he's consistent. Second, he's improving year over year. And at 31 years old, he's entering the age range where many pitchers and hitters hit their prime, suggesting that there's more elite production still to come. Now, if we're talking true longevity, that kind spans 12 to 15 years at a high level, and Shohei is not quite there yet. He's had an exceptional start with potential for a legendary finish, but there are still questions around durability, especially with his dual role increasing the chance of injuries. For now though, he scores an 8 out of 10 here. I've mentioned that Shohei's career has been short so far, but in that time, he has achieved a lot. To date, he has achieved 3 MVP awards, and according to MLB history, only 12 players has ever won 3 or more MVPs. He is the first player in MLB history to win the MVP award in both the American League and the National League. He's the first player in MLB history to have hit 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases in a single season. And of course, he's also a 1-time World Series champion. Ohtani's achievements to date are excellent. There are still some areas to improve on here, especially the number of World Series championships when compared to other players. So he's not at the absolute top in terms of triumphs, but he's starting to enter the upper end of the scale, despite a relatively short career. I'm sure there is more to come over the years. For now, he scores an 8 here. Shohei Ohtani isn't just the first true two-way player in modern baseball. He's redefining what's possible. Transitioning between hitter and pitcher isn't just physically demanding. It requires 2 entirely different mental approaches, and somehow Ohtani excels at both. Yes, there have been better pure hitters, and yes, there have been more dominant pitchers, but no one in the history of the game has ever done both at this level at the same time. And if he stays healthy, the sky's the limit. We're not just talking about MVPs or records. We're talking about a legitimate shot at becoming one of the greatest athletes the world has ever seen. With all scores considered, this gives Shohei Ohtani a total athlete score of 8.5, placing him within the top 5 of the ATHLT scoreboard. Anyways, if you're a fan of other American sports legends, we have made videos on Patrick Mahomes and Serena Williams, which should pop up on the screen now. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that like button, tap subscribe, and ring the bell notification so we can keep scoring athletes. I'm also interested to hear your thoughts, so be sure to leave some comments as well. Anyways, thanks for watching team. Catch you at the next one.